All right, welcome back to Network 27. I'm Alderman Walter Burnett, Alderman of the 27th Ward. I'd like to thank everyone for watching. We'd like to wish everyone happy Valentine's Day. We have someone here with her red on. She's ready for Valentine's Day. Today, ladies and gentlemen, I wanted to introduce our guest, Miss Andrea Zopp. She's actually the director of
President and CEO of World Business Chicago.
Excuse me, President and CEO of World Business Chicago, formerly the deputy mayor of the city of Chicago. Quite frankly, she was the first African American deputy mayor.
I believe that is correct.
Female.
As well.
In the city of Chicago.
I think so.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Alderman. Happy to be here.
Yeah, thank you for being here. So, Andrea, why don't we try to go real quick, because this is a 30-minute show. Let's talk about who is Andrea Zopp.
Sure. So I'm a long-time Chicago resident, although I wasn't born here, but I came here right after law school in '81, so that's 36, almost 37 years ago. I came here for a clerkship with George Layton. I don't know if you remember Judge Layton. He was the second African American on the federal bench. He's now 105 years old.
Wow.
He's an amazing guy. He represented Dr. Martin Luther King. So I worked for him for 2 years. Then I went to the U.S. Attorney's Office. I was a prosecutor, federal prosecutor, and then I went to the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. I worked for a guy named Jack O'Malley, that some people may remember.
Yeah, I remember
and I became the first assistant there, the number 2 in the office. I was the first woman, first African American to ever be in that role. So ran the office for him on the day-to-day basis. And he lost his election in '96, and after that I went to a law firm called, at the time was called Sun and Shine Nathan Rosenthal, and practiced law for a while. Then I went into the corporate world, and so I worked at some great companies. So Sara Lee, which was fantastic. When I was at Sara Lee, we made bacon, cheesecake, the Wonder Bra, and we owned Coach bags. It was like I had died and gone to job heaven. And then I was the general counsel.
You probably got a lot of coaches at home
I
now.
did, and we had an unbelievable coach discount. It was amazing. And then I was the general counsel at Sears. So I worked there for several years, and then I went to Exelon. I ran HR there, and then was the general counsel. Then I left there and I ran the Urban League. So I was really passionate about the neighborhoods, neighborhood development, about creating opportunity, which is really what the Urban League's about. So we have worked with young people, we help people find jobs, we work with entrepreneurs, we help people stay in their homes. And it was really, I love the work, I really enjoyed it. But because I really cared about people and the communities and neighborhoods, I decided to run for the U.S. Senate, which you may remember in the primary. I just felt like the issues that the people I was working with were facing were not going to be addressed by the then Congresswoman Tammy Duckworth in the primary. So I ran the primary against her and got trounced fairly well, but really learned a lot in the process, and I think got the message out about some of these key issues like gun violence and importance of education and funding education, and making sure that we're trying to find pathways into jobs for people who are really challenged to find work. So it was great. And then I had the privilege of working for Mayor Emanuel in the mayor's office, and as the deputy mayor working on neighborhood development. So taking that work that I had done at the Urban League and really bringing it into the mayor's office and really helping him build his vision of making sure that the opportunities that we're seeing in Chicago as it grows and our economy grows, that economic opportunity is felt by people on the south side, the west side, and all over the city. And that's the work I did there. And then I moved in, November of last year to World Business Chicago, which is the city's economic development organization, to help them continue doing what they're doing, both in the country, but also internationally, but also to drive that neighborhood piece as well. So take that, again, that economic development and make sure that we're thinking about the entire city, not just the downtown central business district.
Fantastic. So that's great. You've done a lot.
Yeah.
And you must be extremely smart to be a woman, an African American woman, to garner the respect from people in all those corporations and all those offices. So I commend you.
Thank you.
On your success. So as deputy mayor, you did some unique things in the city. Won't you tell us about some of those things that you pushed with the city that balanced things out across the city? Why don't you tell us about some of those things?
Sure. I think the first thing I think we did was to help the city. And you know this. We have a tendency sometimes we make an investment, but we don't engage. We weren't doing a particularly good job of engaging the community. So we'd improve a park or put a store there, and we'd make an announcement, and then we'd leave. And one of the things we did was really make sure that we were engaging community residents in the development that was happening. So when the Whole Foods came into Inglewood, that there was a deep community engagement in that process, and so that when the jobs were created, people knew they were coming and they were ready for the jobs. And the same thing with the Starbucks. Similarly in Pullman, when we were doing the development in the Pullman, really strong neighborhood community connections. And I think what happens then is not only do you have the economic development investment that we're making, but then you also have engagement in the community, and it's sustained. They feel like they're owning it. And then they think through, what do I want to have next? So it's not just the city. One of the most important things we did we did with City Council was the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, which was and is a great tool for taking the benefits of downtown development. When developers want to increase their density, they have to pay for that. So you take the money that they pay to make their downtown buildings bigger, put it in a fund, and then we use that fund to support entrepreneurs, in particular on the south and west sides of the city. And in the last summer, the city did $3.2 million to 32 neighborhood businesses. And then in January of this year, in January, February, we're going to do, in the coming weeks, we're going to do another group of entrepreneurs. So from a second round. And the thing about the Neighborhood Opportunity Fund is that it will continue to grow. As long as we have development downtown and in downtown areas, the money from the density payments will continue to come, and so we can continue to support those businesses. And they're really starting to change some of the neighborhoods where we have also been working. We also created these retail thrive zones on some of corridors that used to be very strong commercial corridors. 63rd Street in Inglewood, 79th Street and 75th Street in Chatham, Chicago Avenue in Austin, and where we again support entrepreneurs there with TIF dollars. We also help with incentives on zoning and really make it easier for businesses to open up on those commercial corridors so we can start rebuilding those corridors. And we're seeing real change in the neighborhoods, and then that investment draws other investment. So I think in some of our really critical corridors, 47th Street in Bronzeville, real strong development happening there. So it's been it was very exciting there, and we're really hoping to continue to support it at World Business Chicago.
So I call that link development.
Exactly.
So you linking is almost like Robin Hood, except you're not stealing, right? You're helping the rich to help the poor.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, really, the other way I think that I think, and the mayor talks about this all the time, is that you're taking that economic opportunity and figuring out ways to move those dollars outside of one area. So Neighborhood Opportunity Fund was one, but you remember last year the city sold the facility, 2FM facility in the North Branch, and then took the money from that and used it to build a new facility in Inglewood, which is going to bring workers to that area and help drive activity. We took city dollars to break ground on the Police and Fire Training Academy in West Garfield Park. That's going to be a huge investment. I guarantee you there will be other dollars coming around that. Why? Because there's going to be hundreds of law enforcement personnel coming there every single day to work in an area that was an empty field now. So, of course, restaurants will open up, barber shops, cleaners,
stores,
things that they'll need as they're driving by to work, that they'll need to support that. So that's taking public dollars and using that to help, as you said, drive other investment. The other thing that we do really well in the city is public-private partnerships. We have, most of the neighborhood development investments we've made have been public dollars along with private dollars. And again, to your point, this isn't a freebie, right? But because there's public support, the private investors are more willing to come in, and that's worked incredibly well in several of our neighborhoods and communities. I think about Woodlawn. And Cottage Grove and Woodlawn between 63rd and 61st. A few years ago, we put in Metro Squash, which was a sports facility. Again, public-private money. It's a squash training facility, so athletic facility, but they also do mentoring. They support students. Then we did housing, so there's now new housing all along that street. Last year, we announced we're fixing the train station at the Green Line station at 63rd and Cottage. There's a new housing development right on that corner. And last year, we announced we're putting a Jewel at 61st and Cottage. That whole block completely changed, and then that's transforming areas around it. There's a new charter school just down the street, and then you can push that all the way over back to Jackson Park, where the Obama Center is coming in. So you're really starting to transform neighborhoods, and you see that happening in your ward as well with the investments that we're making. And then what happens when you engage the community in that is they start seeing their neighborhood.
Start believing.
Exactly. They see it differently. They start having expectations about what they can have in their neighborhood, and then they start pushing and asking, and we can invest behind it. And that's how we're building real, sustainable change for people, so they can have the neighborhoods that they deserve, where they have amenities, where they have good schools, where they have parks. Every neighborhood in this city deserves that, and we're really starting to bring that back to communities on the south and west sides that have been starved.
So I want to commend you for all of those things, and I'm just concerned because this philosophy is there. Is it going to stay there, and is it going to keep going?
Well, certainly that that the mayor has that philosophy, and as long as he is mayor, he has transformed these neighborhoods. Not just him, but his vision and the people who work with him. All that we've been talking about has happened since that he's been mayor. The transformation of Cottage Grove, the transformation of your parts of your ward, the transformation of Pullman. I mean, really, there was nothing there. 63rd and Halsted was an empty, blighted block.
For years.
Right.
How many years? Over 30 years almost.
Right. The grocery store I talked about, the Jewel that's coming, they haven't had a grocery store there in that neighborhood for 70 years. It's outrageous.
70 years.
Which is really outrageous. So I think this mayor has demonstrated a commitment he still has, I'm not in the mayor's office anymore, but he still has a deputy chief of staff for neighborhood development. Members of my team are still there. He has a strong public engagement.
So you didn't take people from your team with you?
I took one person with me, but I left a lot of people there. I left a few. I didn't a lot.
Who'd you take with you?
I took Tiffany Hamill Johnson, who was worked with me at the Urban League.
Yeah.
But now
that's your right hand.
That's right. And now we're bringing that over to World Business Chicago.
I think she lives in my ward.
She does live. She does. And now we're bringing that over to World Business Chicago. So we're committed. So as long as I'm here, and I think as long as this mayor allows me to continue to do this work, we're going to continue to do it.
Well, thank you very much for everything that you've done for the city. I think the mayor made a good choice with putting you on board, and and I think expanding the thought process of helping the urban communities across the city is fantastic. Something, and a good thing is the more we do outside of downtown, the better it is for everybody.
Right. Well, it's creating jobs, it's creating economic opportunity in the areas. And then that does, and here's the other thing we're trying to do longer term, and I know you know this because you're doing this other piece that it's really important. Mayor can't do any of this without supporters in the city council, without aldermen who are thinking through that idea of linked development and making sure that in their wards that people, their community, that they're responding. So you know that. But the other thing that we're trying to do is to build wealth, right? Because that is return the middle class to our to communities that have not had it. Chatham, Austin, those were incredible. Bronzeville, those were incredible hotbeds or places where there were strong African American middle class communities where the dollars are created in those communities and then they stay in those communities. They don't come into that community and then go out somewhere else. And we're starting to see that, improving the housing opportunities, not displacing people, lifting people up, right? That's what we're trying to do. And it's not perfect. We have a long way to go, but we're making progress and you can see it. You can go to these neighborhoods and see it. So 63rd and Halsted, we're going to have next summer, keep my fingers crossed, a microbrewery across the street from the Whole Foods, and an urban garden or an urban organic garden farming operation there, where we're going to be training entrepreneurs in organic farming. It's just going to transform, and hopefully a great sit-down restaurant. Imagine at 63rd and Halsted.
That's fantastic.
It's incredible.
So that's great. So World Business Chicago. I know we don't have that much time.
I talk too much.
So it's okay.
I'm a trial lawyer. I can't help it.
That's good. You got it all out. That's good television training, right? So World Business Chicago. So now it's a whole nother level, because now you're going to be dealing with corporations and businesses, not only in the city of Chicago, but from all over the world. Right. And in your position there, you're trying to get them to come to the city of Chicago?
Right. So first of all, we're trying to get companies to come to Chicago, so grow our economy here, support the businesses that are here, large and small, to help them be successful, to help them find other markets, whether that's nationally or internationally, and continue to raise Chicago's global profile, and to get foreign investors to be interested in coming into Chicago.
So just not, so you're like China and
absolutely
everybody.
China. So businesses in China, Europe, Germany, United Kingdom, France, those are all, Japan, those are all countries, Israel, where we have really good relationships and where we've gotten, the city and the region have been #1 for direct foreign investment for the last 5 years. And that really is important because that money comes in and helps businesses here. And helps grow our economy here.
So you also think about the airports and people coming in and having good transportation or
right.
hubs where folks can come into.
Tourism is a huge,
right.
We work very closely with Choose Chicago on trying to make sure ways that we can sell our city and attract visitors to our city who come and hopefully spend money with our businesses.
But you also try, at World Business Chicago, you all try to make sure when and if corporations do come here that they have the workforce.
Absolutely, and also that they're thinking through, that we're thinking about how we can also create, again, a more inclusive workforce, right? So it's not just jobs, but it's jobs that we can also help them. We work closely with city colleges to think through, can we help you find pathways so that we can create opportunities, and again, in a broader, for all residents of Chicago, not just particular areas.
Okay, so the funny thing is, well, I shouldn't say it's funny, but coincidental, is that you go to become head of World Business Chicago. The city is trying to lure Amazon to come here. What's the deal with that? And I know that World Business Chicago is working on trying to get Amazon here.
Absolutely.
Why would you go over there? Why would there be a transition at this time. So I know you probably was working on Amazon coming.
Absolutely.
You've been on the city team trying to get Amazon.
Right.
Is this the right time for that transition, and is it natural? Is it more enhanced having you here right now at this transitional time?
I think it worked well. I think it really was actually a little bit more of a coincidence. I think the mayor had been looking for some time to think about how he could build on the neighborhood work we've been doing at World Business Chicago, and you know, my background, because of my corporate background, I can kind of work all levels of what we do at World Business, both the corporate angles as well as the neighborhood. But I also think it works really well because I was a part of the Amazon team in the mayor's office. I'm now continuing to be part of the Amazon team at World Business Chicago. We have to work closely together on the project. Jeff Malhern, who was my predecessor at World Business Chicago, is continuing to work on the project as well. So we've had a really smooth transition, and we're really excited. We have a tremendous opportunity here, and also this city absolutely would be a great place for Amazon. We are super competitive for what they say they want, which is a strong workforce and a place where you have a diversified economy and where they're going to be welcomed. And as you know, we work very well with our corporate partners here in the city.
So and one of the things I saw the presentation, you know, we saw some parts of it. I mean, it's so unique how you guys like touched everything related to Amazon's psyche on what they need, what they want, what they're looking for that Chicago have, like the workforce, even as far as the owner of Amazon, or not the owner, the head of Amazon, like in Star Trek. You know, I'm like, these guys like thought about everything in relationship to trying to get them to come here.
Well, I think about Amazon. Think about how Amazon thinks, right? You know, when you shop at Amazon, it's why they're so successful. They think they are customer centric. That's how they think. They're like, what do I need to do to make people want to be here? And so we wanted to think about them, Amazon, the way they think about their customer, and that's really what we did. You know, we tried to do everything from a perspective of what is it that they're looking at. It just so happens that we have everything they're looking for. We have
affordability, transportation,
the incredible diversity of this city, right? In terms of the workforce that we can have, whether it's highly educated or workforce coming out of city colleges, whether it's coming from the colleges around here, or just the pure strength of our cultural and ethnic diversity in this city. And just the lake, the airport, how centrally located we are. You know, you can get, you know, when I was in the corporate world, I had to travel a fair amount. You can get almost anywhere in the world from Chicago on a direct flight, which is amazing, really amazing. And so if you're a worldwide company like Amazon or any other company, that's huge to be able to have that. So we just have an incredible amount of resources that I think would be great for Amazon to come.
So we're running out of time, but when I saw that, one of the things I said is, man, all of this work you all put into this, all of these selling points on trying to get Amazon to come, I mean, that package is so unique. I mean, there was so many things that I saw that I didn't know that the city had to offer big corporations. Right, and it's such a benefit for businesses to come here. I said this package can be used to sell any corporation in the world.
It's so
to come here.
It's so amazing that you just said that. I literally, just before I came in here, I had a conversation with the team that put that together about how we take that package and make it a little bit more generic so we can use that information. Because the truth is, while there are some things in there that we're very focused on Amazon, the core things that make the city a great place to come and do business are true across the board. So it's a great suggestion, and we're going to do that.
Fantastic. So Andrea, I just want to congratulate you.
Thank you, Alderman.
You know, you're a great role model, whether you know it or not, for African American women in this city. I mean, to see a female to be in your position in corporate America, you know, where it's predominantly white males that's running it, and you've been able to navigate that system and garner the respect and make things happen. I think it's commendable.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I just want to say, very proud of you.
Thank you.
And I hope that other folks are making sure that their daughters and sisters see a woman like you and want to be like you.
Thanks, Alderman.
So
Thank
we
you
really
very much.
appreciate you and what you are doing and what you have done. And thank you for what you've done for the city of Chicago. I know
It's
that
been a
even
work
you,
of love and
even
passion.
you working for the city of Chicago was probably a cut in pay for you. You probably can make more money, you know, in a lot of other places.
Yeah, but you know what you don't make necessarily in dollars, you get back in the benefit of I love this city. I really do. I'm passionate about it, and it's been a privilege to serve it.
Fantastic. Well, God bless you, and thank you very much. Thank you, Andrea.
Thank you.